Imagine this. You're deep underground. Torchlight flickering against stone walls. The air is heavy, unmoving. In front of you lies a sealed door, its clay impression untouched for thousands of years. Break it, and you might unleash knowledge, treasure, or a curse no one was ever meant to face. For ancient civilizations, seals weren't just wax or clay. They were barriers, physical, spiritual, even supernatural. To shatter one was to defy kings, gods, and the natural order itself. And yet, throughout history, people did break them. What happened next? That's where the story turns dangerous. When Howard Carter uncovered the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922, he wasn't just opening a grave, he was crossing a line, sealed shut for more than 3,000 years. One of the first things he noticed wasn't the glitter of gold or the carved sarcophagus, but a lump of clay stamped with royal insignia, an unbroken seal. That little piece of clay proved the tomb had never been disturbed, untouched, since the boy king was buried. This wasn't decoration, this wasn't an ornament, that seal was a symbol of power, of warning, of protection. Across cultures, Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, the Indus Valley, seals acted like guardians. They closed tombs, secured treasures, authenticated royal decrees. They kept human hands away, and sometimes people believed they kept darker forces trapped inside. Breaking a seal was more than theft. It was rebellion. It meant crossing into forbidden space, where rulers, priests, and gods had declared, "Do not enter." And yet, throughout history, seals were broken, some by force, some by accident, and some by those who couldn't resist the temptation of the unknown. Seals are some of humanity's earliest attempts to build order out of chaos. Around 4000 BCE in ancient Mesopotamia, small stamp seals were carved out of stone and pressed into wet clay. Their purpose? To say, "This belongs to me." As society grew more complex, so did the technology. By 3500 BCE, the iconic cylinder seal appeared. Imagine a tiny stone roller carefully carved with images of gods, kings, or sacred symbols. When rolled across clay, it left a continuous imprint, a personal brand, impossible to copy. A merchant would roll his seal over a jar of grain, and everyone knew, tamper with this and you'll be exposed. But seals weren't just about economics, they carried status. A lapis lazuli seal meant wealth and connections. A clay seal might belong to a humble scribe. Some were drilled, worn on a cord like jewelry, a constant reminder of the owner's authority. And there was something deeper. To stamp your seal wasn't just to mark ownership, it was to claim protection. To say, the gods themselves are watching this boundary. That's why seals became more than practical tools. They became sacred, and once that idea took hold, it spread everywhere. Mesopotamia set the stage, but soon nearly every great civilization developed its own system of sealing. The Indus Valley civilization produced enigmatic square seals, carved with animals and mysterious symbols. Some show unicorn-like creatures, others bear inscriptions no one has fully decoded. Were they trade stamps, religious symbols, magic talismans? We still don't know. The Egyptians loved scarab seals, little beetle-shaped amulets pressed into clay or wax. Scarabs symbolized rebirth and the sun. So these seals carried spiritual meaning far beyond bureaucracy. Pharaohs, priests, and scribes used them to lock tombs, secure papyrus scrolls, and sanctify treasures. The Minoans of Crete produced seals featuring gods, monsters, labyrinth-like designs. They weren't just administrative, they were mythological tokens, echoes of stories still told in Greek legend. China turned the seal into the ultimate imperial symbol. The legendary heirloom seal of the realm, supposedly granted divine right to rule to whoever possessed it. Dynasties rose and fell as warlords fought for control of that single piece of jade. Even the Bible mentions seals. Kings sealed decrees, prophets spoke of seals that could not be broken, and clay bullae stamped with names of governors and scribes have been unearthed in Jerusalem. Across continents and millennia, the seal carried a single message: authority. Authority you were never supposed to challenge. Seals worked on three levels: practical, magical, and symbolic. Practically, they were signatures. In a world without locks or paper envelopes, a seal was proof something was genuine. A sealed jar meant no one had stolen from it. A sealed letter meant the words inside came straight from the sender. If that lump of clay was broken, everyone knew the boundary had been crossed. Magically, seals were believed to hold power. In Minoan and Near Eastern cultures, some were worn as amulets to ward off evil. Engraved with lions, bulls, or gods, they weren't just marks, they were charms. To carry your seal was to carry protection. Symbolically, seals stood for authority. In Rome and across the Middle East, a seal didn't just protect an object, it sanctified it. The moment it was stamped, the item belonged to the gods, the king, or both. Breaking it wasn't just a crime, it was a spiritual offense. That's why seals appear so often in religious texts. The Book of Revelation describes 7 seals, each one broken to unleash a wave of catastrophe. Conquest, war, famine, death, and more. The metaphor worked because people understood. Once a seal is broken, you can't undo it. The boundary is crossed. The consequences have begun. The most dramatic moments in archaeology often come not from what's opened, but from what's found, still closed. When Howard Carter first saw Tutankhamun's tomb, it was the unbroken seals on the outer doors that sent shivers down his spine. The ancient necropolis guards had stamped them shut, warning thieves to stay away. And for more than 3,000 years, no one dared to disturb it. Elsewhere, archaeologists have uncovered entire archives of unbroken clay bullae, tiny lumps of clay still bearing the marks of scribes long dead. In some cases, the papyrus or parchment inside has decayed, but the seal remains. A ghostly impression of authority, holding secrets we can never fully recover. Each unbroken seal is a paradox, proof that humans respected the boundary, but also a reminder of the mysteries locked away forever. What treasures, what messages, what warnings remain sealed beyond our reach? Sometimes, the silence of the unbroken seal is louder than anything it might have contained. To break a seal was to cross into forbidden space, and the consequences could be severe. In ancient courts, breaking a king's seal without permission was treason, punishable by death. In temples, breaking a sacred seal was blasphemy, a crime against the gods. Even in everyday trade, tampering with a seal meant fraud and ruin. But beyond the legal, there were psychological consequences. A seal carried weight, because everyone believed it mattered. In the Gospel of Matthew, Roman authorities sealed Jesus' tomb to guarantee it stays shut. When the stone is rolled away and the seal is effectively broken, it's not just a miracle. It's a symbolic act of defiance. Earthly power shattered by divine will. And in Revelation, the breaking of seals unleashes apocalypse, not treasure, not knowledge, but destruction. This imagery stuck because it taps a universal fear. Some boundaries are not meant to be crossed. Once you do, you can't go back. Every broken seal was an act of risk. Sometimes it led to treasure, sometimes to chaos, and sometimes to legends of curses that echo even today. Seals are still being discovered, and they're rewriting history. Excavations in Mesopotamia have revealed seals so intricate. They depict entire myths in miniature, gods battling monsters, kings before thrones. Some seals even preserve languages we barely understand. In Jerusalem, a clay seal stamped "Governor of the City" shocked scholars, confirming a title mentioned in the Bible. Suddenly, scripture wasn't just story, it was archaeology. Every new seal tells us something about trade, about religion, about how humans marked what mattered most, and sometimes about what they feared most. Because the unbroken seal still whispers across millennia, "Do not open." Seals are more than ancient stamps. They're psychological weapons, spiritual barriers, political tools. They warned people to keep out, to leave sacred things untouched, to respect the boundaries set by kings and by gods. Some seals endured for thousands of years, surviving looters, storms, and empires because people believed in their power. They were never meant to be broken, not by thieves, not by rulers, not even by time itself. But human curiosity has always been stronger than fear. We break the seals, we open the tombs, we chase the secrets hidden inside. And every time we do, we're not just uncovering history, we're defying the warnings of the ancients, standing in places they said we should never stand, and asking the same question they tried to silence. What lies beyond the seal?